when I think about, perfection, right? Perfection is killing a lot of people these days. When you look at, because, right, we have, we have access to these things, right? And these things, when you look at Instagram, it's all perfection.
Yeah.
That's why I don't use Instagram. I keep off it. Yeah. And I have done for many, many years. And I have an account. It's got a few followers on it, whatever. Yeah. But I don't post on it, and I don't actively use it because it doesn't serve any purpose for me.
Yeah, exactly.
It adds zero value to my life.
Exactly.
And I think it adds zero value as well to most people on it as well.
Yeah.
Because what is it really? When you ask yourself the question, what is it? It's just pictures of people and videos. Mostly girls with their ass out or their tits out or whatever. And it's like, what value is that bringing to my life, really? In terms of my goals and my aspirations and what I want to do with it.
It's the most ubiquitous drug out there.
Talk to me about
it. It is such a ubiquitous drug of like, superfluousness and, ideal self and ideal self, not in the healthy way. It's ideal self in what someone's conception of the ideal self is. You should be, tummies in and, whatever, on a beach in Playa del Carmen. That should be your ideal self. But your ideal self is still being created. It's still being created by using the tactics in the curveball, going incrementally. As I share, sometimes we have to lose something to find everything. We have to be willing to embrace certain amounts of loss. And, to your listeners, I don't advocate for that in a detrimental way, but every time we lose and have to be pared back, the ego gets chipped away one at a time.
Right. Yeah, it's the chipping away which is key, right? And first of all, it's about recognizing that you have an ego and that you're stuck in it. Because it took me a while to get my head around it. Actually, to be fair, when I was about 18, 19 was when I really started to wake up.
Yeah.
I had these, because I always knew from a young kid that I was, I don't have to use the word different because people like to think that they're different and they're special. That's an innate human response. But, I didn't see myself as normal when I was a kid, even though I looked normal from the outside, right? I was, had friends and everything else, but I always knew that I wanted to do something different. So when I got to the age of 18, 19, and I started to, I suppose, think for myself more, I went traveling, I started to live.
Yeah.
I left the group because that's a key moment for a man, I think. We're going to touch on this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
This is so crucial. For a man has to leave the nest. Yeah. It's so important.
Yes.
And the nest is, it could be the home, it could be the family, it could be the group of friends that they're with and they're grown up with. But a man has to push his limits. He has to go beyond what he knows.
Totally.
If he doesn't do that, by all means, you're in charge of your own life. So, but if he doesn't do that, you're not going to grow. You're not going to be what you're destined to become.
Yes.
Or what you can be,
yes.
or what you're capable of. And so what I did was when I was 18, 19 is I moved abroad. And that was a big moment for me.
Where'd you move to?
I moved to Australia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I went to Australia and it was one of the biggest, it was an incredible experience. Not just because I traveled and I saw the, it was because of everything that I was imagining in my head, it was becoming true.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a wishy-washy, mystical way.
What did you learn most from your time just alone in this destination?
It's interesting. I learned a lot, and I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was my goal always. Being self-sufficient, not having to answer to anybody was key because, like I said before, my ego was quite big. So it was just about being who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Mainly. I learned a lot about life out there, a lot about people.
Yeah.
People was, that was when I began to learn how to interact better with people.
Yeah.
And life is about who you know.
Totally.
The bottom line is
Totally.
it's about who you know. It's about connections. It's about building relationships with key people.
It's not even about networking.
No, I hate that word.
It's about serving.
Right.
It's about relationships, empathetic relationships. I think post-pandemic, empathy has never been a more scarcer yet more abundant resource.
Explain what you mean.
It's scarce in the sense that, so few of us are willing to put in the work to become more empathetic.
But when you describe empathy, like what do you mean by empathy?
Really, empathy is really, it's not just putting yourself in someone else's shoes in their situations. It's really connecting at the core of like, how can I best help this person? What is it about myself that I can really aid to this person in time? And I think, much like yourself, I grew up when I went to law school in the Cayman Islands. First time ever out of Canada, on this island alone. How can I cope? How can I, different currency, different people, different climate, etc. And that was my growing up moment, And I think so too often people want to move alone, but it's very interesting. I want to move alone, but will I need my parents' help? Will I, can I do it without my parents' help? I feel ashamed of getting my parents' help. I don't want to be asking for it.
It's a bit of an awkward time.
You get all these thoughts in your head.
No, I get it. It happens.
Yeah.
It certainly happened for me, we wouldn't be the only ones.
And I'm just like, you wouldn't be human if you didn't want or know how to ask for help.